It's Weekend Update with Colin Jost and Michael Che.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, I know most of us think this every week, but this week was crazy. On Tuesday, President Trump fired FBI Director James Comey. Then the White House panicked and started blurting out excuses like a husband with glitter on his collar. Finally, Trump came forward and he said he decided to fire Comey himself because Comey, quote, wasn't doing a good job, adding, for example, I'm still president. Then he called Comey a showboat. This guy is a showboat. He looks like if the word gosh became a person. Trump was also reportedly surprised that people were angry he fired the guy investigating the Trump campaign. How did Trump not realize that was suspicious? I mean, if a drug-sniffing dog came up to your bag at the airport and your response was to shoot the dog, people would really wonder what's in that bag. Or they would just assume you worked for United.
Steve Bannon reportedly told the president that this was not the right time to fire Comey. Well, when would be the good time to fire the guy that's investigating you? While he's putting on the handcuffs? Also, you know something looks bad when Steve Bannon has to walk into your office with his hot dog breath and his 10 o'clock shadow, like, hey, this could be bad for our image, boss. And it does look bad. In fact, everything Trump does sounds like the trailer of a wacky movie. Trump headlines should come with a record scratch and a fun song. For instance, this week, President Trump halts an FBI investigation by firing the head of the FBI.
After the Comey news was made public, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer tried to evade reporters by ducking into some bushes, which is weird because diving into bushes without warning is usually his boss's thing. Spicer's thirsty understudy, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, said James Comey had committed basic atrocities while he was head of the FBI, like reopening the Hillary Clinton investigation. But that's not a basic atrocity. A basic atrocity is when you post a brunch photo that says, pizza is life. Or when your profile pic is you on an inflatable swan. Basic atrocities, by the way, is also where Sarah Huckabee Sanders gets her wardrobe.
President Trump warned in a tweet that James Comey better hope there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. I don't even know what that means because he put the word tapes in quotes. Adding random quotations to a word just makes everything sound a lot worse. It's the difference between saying, Grandma's sleeping and Grandma's sleeping. Trump also tweeted, as a very active president, with lots of things happening, it's not possible for my surrogates to stand at podium with perfect accuracy. First of all, very active is not how you describe a president. That's how you describe the imagination of a child that draws pictures of his school on fire. Then he goes on to say, maybe the best thing to do would be to cancel all future briefings and hand out written responses for the sake of accuracy. No, dude, you can't just get rid of press briefings. Every time we criticize Donald Trump, he tries to offer a way worse plan as the solution. Just like when people criticize Trump for not actually draining the swamp, and Trump was like, well, I guess that means I should hire my son-in-law.
A letter released by President Trump's lawyers claims that the last 10 years of his tax returns do not show any income from Russian sources, quote, with a few exceptions. With a few exceptions is not a comforting phrase. That's like hearing, don't worry, all the kids came back from the field trip, with a few exceptions. I'd also like to just point out that one of his tax attorneys is named Willie Nelson. And I know it's not this Willie Nelson who famously didn't pay his taxes, but still, I wouldn't hire a babysitter whose legal name was Jared Fogle.
Are the Fogels here? Education Secretary Betsy DeVos was booed while giving a commencement speech at the historically all-black Bethune-Cookman University. It was the most booing from an all-black audience since I let Colin open for me at the Apollo.
It's a private moment. The new Republican health care proposal could end protections for access to drug treatment and rehab. Here with his thoughts is Pete Davidson.
Whoa, hey, what up, Colin?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. So, what have you been up to since you got sober?
Well, they say quitting drugs is hard, and that is true. But what they don't tell you is how boring it is. Whoever said there aren't enough hours in the day was a liar. There are so many hours in the day. 24 to be exact. Did you guys know that? Did you know there was 24 hours in a day? Because I thought there were only 6.
Well, that's good to know. I feel like there must have been something you did with all your time off, right?
I've been masturbating.
That's great.
Yeah,
Good
I've
to
been,
know.
I've been
Thank you.
doing that a lot. I was on drugs for the last 8 years, so now I have to get like all the bad kids out.
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
I gotta masturbate all the bad kids out, Colin. There's a bunch of dummies in there. If I had a kid right now, it would come out with a snapback and a neck tattoo.
I guess I'm just going to move on from that. So how did you become sober?
Well, I went to rehab, and here's some advice. Never pick the rehab you want to go to while you're high, because that's what I did. I just Googled rehab and clicked the first place that popped up. And what caught my eye about this one was their main attraction was horse therapy.
What's horse therapy?
Well, wouldn't we all like to know, Colin? I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's like when you pet horses and you look at them and like heal through their horsiness, and you pet them and you look them in the eye and you're like, you're trapped, I'm trapped, you know, we'll get through this.
Well, that actually sounds kind of nice.
It does, doesn't it? But the first day I got to rehab, guess who's allergic to horses? So, yeah, that's how poor I was growing up. I never even met a horse. I remember doing that allergy test, you know, when they, like, test you for dogs, cats, and grass and all that. I remember the doctor specifically asked my mom, and she was like, you know, should he be tested for horses? And she literally said, nah, he'll never see one. And then she said, we're more of a Six Flags type family.
Well, I'm sorry. That sounds like a nightmare scenario for rehab.
It was. Do not go to a rehab that has horse therapy, okay? If you go, it'll cost you 40 grand.
Wait, it cost you $40,000?
To pet a horse. You could have sex with a person for like 50 bucks. I should have banged that horse.
Pete Davidson, everyone!
And that's how you get off drugs.